Local Edge, powered by Ad Canada Media.
Hi everybody, and welcome to The Local Edge, your show for better understanding and connecting with small communities in Canada. Here, we bring you the latest news, insights, and the trends from the world of local advertising and marketing. I am your host, Shawna Randolph. Pleased to be with you here today. And on this show, we're going to be focusing on why some larger companies can't make it happen in smaller communities, yet somehow local investors can. Why is that? We're going to be talking with three local publishers, one in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, to find out their magic formula. They're going to be sharing some secrets with us. That is all coming up right here on today's edition of The Local Edge.
Disposable diapers can slowly pollute a parent's budget. The average household disposed of $42 annually in Quebec, while in Alberta and Saskatchewan, it worked out to be a little more stinky at $66 per household. For targeted data like this and to get a better understanding of connecting with local markets, please visit adcanadamedia.ca.
Brandy Fredrickson is the owner-publisher of the Drayton Valley Free Press in Alberta and one of our first ever guests on The Local Edge. Happy to have her with us again. Lana Meir is the owner-publisher of the Altona Rhineland Voice, Carmen Dufferin Standard, Gimli Weekly Express News, Selkirk Record, Stonewall Toulon Tribune, and the Winkler Morden Voice, all in Manitoba. Very busy lady there. And Kate Winquist is the owner-publisher of the Hannah Harvest Sky Sentinel, the Owen Echo in Alberta, plus the Car Robert Chronicle and the Kindersley Your West Central Voice in Saskatchewan. Welcome to the three of you. Very, very pleased to have you on The Local Edge today.
Thank you. Morning.
Okay, I have so much to cover here. I just want to start with this whole perspective. Each of you have your own history of starting local newspapers once a big corporate daily has closed down publishing in your community. So I just want to go through each of you, basically why you tried this when a big company did not make it, what you thought you'd accomplish, and just going from there. So let's start with you, Brandy. You were actually an employee at the time of this competitor that left. Once they closed down, what did you do?
So there was a bit of a time gap between the time that I had worked for the competitor and the time that I had started this newspaper. I did keep in contact with the people that I had worked with, and I guess in terms of starting something new, there was an element of Pollyanna unawareness, a little bit of maybe we could try it and do it a bit better, and a bit of I think the community really needs this. So with the Free Press being a smaller paper, we were able to be nimble. We were able to, I think what we've done is we've really put emphasis on the value of, it's not just the reporters connecting with the community, it's also your sales staff, it's also your admin staff. Everybody brings in their own circle that they know. And I think what happened with the large corporate was that they were pulling and centralizing a lot of things. So you're taking away a lot of those local influencers in the community that are no longer now representing your publication.
Okay, Kate, your perspective, what happened with you?
Well, basically, I grew up in the Kindersley area. That's where I was born and raised. And at the time, when the pandemic hit, I actually was working for a larger corporation in southwest corner of the province. And I saw it as an opportunity, once I had my wage cut and commission slashed, and I just said to my husband, I think there's an opportunity in Kindersley. It's a community surrounding area, about 20,000 people. And so I just took a chance one day and took my daughter, and we drove around. I still have friends there, a few family members, and I thought, I think we can do this. So it was just a leap of faith, really, and we haven't looked back. Added 3 more publications. So,
wow.
So that's basically how it got started.
Okay, yeah, and we're going to hear more from all of you about how things are going. But then just with Lana, how did things get started with you? Why did you decide that you could make this work?
Well, I didn't know for sure if I could make it work when I started, but community newspapers were part of me from the day I was born. My dad actually owned newspapers, and then I worked for him before we sold out to the Quebecor Giants, which was the Pelado family at the time. Over the years, there was some transitions. I stayed on with the company. And then in 2008, there was some shifting going on corporately. We were going to a digital model, cookie cutters, and I just didn't believe. I already had been running quite a few newspapers at that point for the corporation previously for my father. And changing the whole landscape of how we do things and taking the local out of the community newspapers didn't sit well with me. We fought for 2 years about it, 2008, 2009, 2010. I just could not understand the reason why we were doing that. And I say every community was different in its own ways. And on January 4th of 2010, I was told that I needed to incorporate the corporate strategy or move on. So I chose to move on and realized after 6 months that I was really upset with my decision because I love newspapers and the importance of them in the community, reporting our history, connecting people to build communities. And it just was so passionate with me, and I just couldn't understand why the corporation saw that it was not and I know that in a corporation, the profits were the most important part, but the newspaper is the most important part. And if you are serving your communities, the local businesses are supporting you, and it just kind of works together. And I truly believed that being local, when I shared the importance of the community newspaper and what our purpose was, I felt that I could start newspapers up on my own, which I did start with 3, which we've now grown to 6. And then we do a summer one actually for Victoria, is our 7th.
Wow. Okay, back to you for a second here, Brandy. You are multitasking. I know as you're talking to us right now, it's delivery day, you're just hands to the ground and that sort of thing. Is that one of the reasons why it's working, because of all that hard work? Or to give us a reason overall why you're succeeding?
Well, I mean, part of it is obviously being in it, right? So like you're not just managing it from some corporate office somewhere else. You're actually in it. You have face-to-face contact with a lot of our clients and our customers. You know, I'm answering phones and talking to people who are subscribers right along with our admin staff as well as everything else. I kind of fill in the gaps. So like if we need some additional stories on things, I'm doing that too. So you're still very much in touch with the community as a whole, and the community beat, where the trends are going and those kind of things in the community. So I think that has an element because I think it allows us to respond to those whether it's themed. So say, for example, Drayton Valley there in 2015 went through basically an oil and gas crisis along with the rest of Alberta. And it allows us to be able to respond to those. We're not tone deaf when it comes to that stuff. I think that's part of it. The other part is I have an awesome team. Like I have admin staff that worked for those, similar to Kate's story. They had worked for the corporations and they got cut. Their jobs got cut, their hours got cut, and they are very much specialists in their own right in what they're doing. Our editor's been at it for 25 years. Our admin staff, honestly, part of the startup was a lot of information we were able to work things out together. She knew a lot of how the administrative component of a newspaper ran, whereas when I used to work with the newspaper, I was only in the editorial, right? So there was a lot of that. And I think that all plays into it. You know, you got these passionate staff, you got your finger in the community, and people see you. Like they see you in the grocery store. They tell you story ideas while you're in checkout line at the grocery store. And I think that's all part of it, is that you're a visceral part of the community.
Wow. So we've heard everybody from Brandy and even the support from the community. So now to you, Kate. Now you were mentioning in the introduction here, you've started 3 new newspapers. It's just growing. It was a big risk. Give us a perspective of your success.
Well, I mean, it has grown a lot larger than I anticipated, for sure. I was quite content with just the one, and Oyen just kind of fell in my lap. That's only about an hour away from Kindersley, virtually given to me. A lady, again, the lifelong publisher that was just ready to retire, health reasons and whatnot. So we added that, and then it just kept growing. But I too have a passionate staff. We're not a very large staff, but lots of experience between four of us. I think we've got, close to 150 years newspaper experience. So yeah, we all enjoy what we do. I think the printer's ink runs in one's blood once you get in the industry, and print's alive and well. At least it is in West Central Saskatchewan and East Central Alberta. It's just, I can't stress that enough. Keep everything local. People still love the newspapers.
Well, and you get a really good response from people in your community too, right? Readers, business community leaders.
Most definitely. Yeah. Like even when I was starting from scratch, and I thought, well, I need 300 subscribers to start. That's why I posted it on Facebook, and the response, like before I even put out a product, I have a picture that I posted on my personal socials of all the the envelopes with all these, the beautiful script handwriting from, it's a lot of the older people, of course, that, that's what they grew up with. Newspapers are the original social media. So, I mean, yeah, we're here to stay.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
And Lana, you're expanding as well. And we've had you on the show before, and it's nice to hear that things are still going well for you. So what is the response in the community? What are you hearing from people to make you continue pushing forward?
I think the biggest thing when we first launched was 3 papers, and then there were other corporate papers in the communities in other towns, and those papers, when the pandemic hit, they were actually shut down. So we had mayors and economic development officers calling us and saying, our local paper just shut down, we need a paper. So we responded and came out with a paper. We've got, I'm not in all of my communities, but I have, again, also like the other gals, very, very passionate staff, lots of experience. And we really rely on the community. I stress to the community, the paper is owned by you and it's accessible. Share information with us, and go to the grocery store in my local community. I get stories everywhere, right? But we also use social media for stories and sharing stories. I love watching Twitter when a sports game comes out and there's photos, and the young kids who are supposedly never reading newspapers, they're sharing it all across the social media platform. Mm-hmm. Walk into an arena and the boys are texting my kids already, I see your mom's at the paper today, am I going to be in it? So the young people are reading papers. As much as people say that it's an old, dying industry, I do not agree with it. I can't be more excited about our industry. I see it grow every day. We have new businesses calling us and saying, we've been trying to do stuff on social media. It's not working. I understand that, these customers that have been with you from the beginning, they're getting great response, and they want to do something. So every week we have contracts. Again, this week I had a call, and it was a $10,000 contract that we signed. This guy's buying a quarter-page ad for 52 weeks of the year, and he can't be more excited. It helps us on the bottom line, and it gives us that opportunity to be able to put more news in the paper. So it's going well, and I say I'm like the other gals. It's a lot of work. It's passion, and I dabble in every side of it, whether it's ad sales or laying out the paper, writing stories, and the staff are the same. If they see a story idea, they screenshot something, they send it to me, and we've got a news reporter on it right away. So it's good, and it's working for us.
There's this perspective, and I want to address this out there, that when one of these big corporate dailies leaves a small community, that the sky is falling, that that's it for coverage in a community. We don't even hear of the success stories. It kind of stops there. Any of you want to weigh in on that perspective?
Well, I'll jump in here. I'm relatively new with our publication in Hannah. We're only going into our 4th week. But, we made a commitment to the town and said, we're going to be, this is going to be your local paper. They're served by, a regional newspaper, but they said, it's too broad of an area where they wanted more of that local feel. Hannah's 2,700 people. They deserve that local coverage. So we made, the decision, we're going to put out this product, kind of just, here we are, and the response has been really, really good. We're direct mailing, I think it's 2,300 papers, Hannah being the main component to that. The town has jumped on board. They've signed an agreement with us for 18 months. They have quit doing their direct mail to their taxpayers, and now they're using their local paper because we're serving that area that they need to get the word out. What more is there to say? I mean, yeah, if you've got the town behind you, I think you're away for sure. And we've signed up another couple of advertisers they said we'll try it for 3 months. Mm-hmm. And I'm optimistic that, we'll get a few more on board, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Brandy, I see you want to say something.
I think too, like just prior to our corporate component closing office and stuff and moving strictly to, I think they moved to strictly to online. Prior to that, outside of basically the front page picture being a local picture, there would be maybe one story locally in there. The rest of the stuff was coming out of the city. So it wasn't necessarily, at least like when we had originally talked to both our town and county about this idea of a local paper and those kind of things. It wasn't originally, oh my goodness, you're going to be competing. It was, well, we see that the product is dwindling. It's not what it used to be. The coverage isn't what it used to be. And basically, I think on a community level, people all understand that those community stories is what pulls it together. So even if you have a print product that's going out there that really has one photo and one story of a community, that does not make a paper. It doesn't make a local paper for a specific area. So I think when we opened up and we had said, like, local news first, local news always, that's kind of basically what we've geared on. Is we wanted local faces in the paper. We want local stories. We're going, deeper on some of those stories, talking to the coaches, things like that. We don't cover a lot of the provincial things unless obviously it's very pertinent to Drayton Valley. But a lot of it is, we know that there are provincial and national news coverage that comes from larger corporations. We're very focused on our local community and the region that surrounds it.
Yeah, you just mentioned something there I want to touch on, Brandy, about when a corporate daily kind of leaves the actual hard copy print service in the community, they still say, hey, you can still catch us online. But as I'm hearing from all three of you, is that it's not done by people within the community that know the local sports, that know the community makers, shakers and makers, and so I think that's a big misconception out there. Am I right?
That's absolutely correct, Shawna. Yeah, that's the thing, is that I think eventually what happens is that once you take away the staff, you take away the print product, you take away the stories and the photos, you're left with basically just a masthead. And I mean, in Drayton, the paper name is old. It was, it's a 40, 50 year old name, which does carry a lot of weight. But if there's nothing within that name, it's a shell. You can't carry a product is not just a meme. And I think unfortunately the competitors have basically gutted that product down to being nothing more than just a masthead, which people are not dumb. They know that there's nothing there for them. There's nothing there for them to grip onto, to see, to get engaged with.
I see Lana nodding on that one. Lana?
I totally agree, but I also, in my situation, I'm not as hands-on in my communities with the other publications. And but the corporation was there. I always struggled because I believe that they could have been successful if they would have just used their staff. And so in my community, where in the northern Interlake area, I don't have staff actually living in several of my communities, but we do provide a good paper. It is totally local. So we share, the community are happy to take photos for us. They submit photos. We watch electronically on the other social media platforms, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, for different story ideas to how community is reacting to things. And then we reach out to those people. So you can still cover a community newspaper, a local community newspaper well, utilizing your community, not living in that community, which that was the part that I struggled with, that corporation didn't feel that they could do that it was going to be this shell publication and it was just going to be cookie cutter news that, if there was a gardening article in Drayton Valley or Calgary, Montreal, or Stonewall, it was going to be across the country and there would be somebody reading it. I always agreed with that, but it did not reach down to the local community. It didn't talk about, how the taxes were being increased, if there was a wastewater lagoon issue, reverse osmosis controversy, if there was going to be a new silt sands community and how it's going to affect the drinking water. And that was never part of the, in the bigger world of the corporate, but those are very important topics that go on in those local communities. So I think you're still able to cover them without actually living in those communities if you make it your passion and you want it to be. I mean, you have to connect to people. You have to talk to the RMs in the towns. You talk to the Chamber of Commerce president. You talk to the business owners. And as long as you're able to connect and commute and talk to those people, then I think you can run a successful paper without actually living in the community itself. But you do have to listen to the community.
Mm-hmm. Brandy? Yeah.
And you have to give back.
Kate and then Brandy. Go ahead, Kate.
I was just going to say, you have to give back to the community. I mean, obviously we're in this to make money, but it doesn't have, you don't have to make money on everything that you do. We want to show the communities that we're here for the long haul. And, I always ask them, when they ask me for a rate card and, how much is this? What's your budget? What do you want to spend? And we'll work with that. And that's been a good, a good thing for us. Maybe we don't get rate card price all the time, but we will work with our nonprofits, and people respect that. Just, like they say, be kind,
Be kind.
do unto others. And it's been successful.
Yeah. Brandy.
Yeah, I think like to what Lana was saying, I mean, we do that on a bit of a smaller scale when it comes to our surrounding regions. So Drayton Valley is the primary area, but we also go out to Bratton, Winfield, Evansburg, and Twistle. There's about a 40-kilometer radius there. That on my delivery days today, if there's something that I've been asked to take a picture of, I'll take a picture of. But essentially, it's those communities in which we do more of an outreach component. So if there's, an RCMP brief that comes in that pertains to Buck Lake or whatever, I mean, we'll cover that. We'll do that, if there's things that come up that we've heard that's come up, like, take, for example, there was the Drayton Valley wildfires. There was also the Evansburg and Twistle wildfires. Like, we had covered both of those because they are part of our delivery region. None of us live in Evansburg or Entwistle. I mean, I have historical family ties to Breton and all their flats, but outside of that, we don't live in those areas. They are very small areas. We do some coverage on them. But yes, that's, as Lana was saying, that's basically how we're able to tackle some of those smaller regional little hamlets and villages in our area.
One more thing I just want to touch on quickly, just any of you chime in. It's about the temptation for people that don't live in the community that want to do online advertising within your community. So going, through the internet and buying the ads and that sort of thing. Any of you, just quickly, what do you feel that advertising agencies, people should know about reaching audiences that way and tracking it?
I can answer that. I mean, we have Google Analytics on all of our papers, so we can see exactly who's reading our paper. And I find it rather interesting because when we look at the numbers, we have probably in a circulation of 15,000, 3,000 readers within our radius that we distribute to read the paper online the day before they actually get the hard copy. And when you talk to people, I'll reach out and say, why do you read it online? And the first thing is to say, we like to see what's going to be in the paper, but they love to sit down on when they've got the time to read through all the ads, the rest of the paper, when they've got, they've seen the top line news, but now they want to actually see the whole, they want to read all the articles. So I think it's important. I mean, we have the Google Analytics you can tell the national agencies that we've got the readership there. We can see who's reading the paper. We see where they're reading it from, whether it's someone who used to live in the town, they're reading it online from another province now. But the majority of our readership is actually local.
Yeah, Brandy, we talked about that before, and then Kate, I'll have you quickly weigh in. Brandy.
Yeah. Well, basically, like, to go a bit deeper with Lana saying there, it's very similar scenarios, right? Like, we are very direct. So we have a list of email subscribers in which we, directly email them the paper. We have created, so within those digital issues, there's a click-through URLs or telephone numbers in which so people can interact with the ads. We do track those click-throughs. We track, we have analytics as well and stuff. But the one thing that I find that I think people, they understand after they've spent money on online advertising is that basically your paper is much more direct to the local population than what, like say if you're looking at Google ads or even Facebook ads. I mean, they work on a bid process. So if you do not have the budget in which to outbid somebody else in your same marketplace, say it's fitness, if you don't have a high enough budget to outbid some of those people, you're not getting the same kind of play as what you would get when I can say, look, we're sending this out to 4,000 email subscribers. We have a 95% open rate. I can track the clicks that are going to these particular ads. Like, it's very, it has actually brought a bit of a scientific component to the advertising side of newspapers, but it's also very direct to customers' eyeballs, in which I think as it pertains to rural communities, some of the online advertising, I mean, I've done some of the digital marketing things prior to doing the newspaper on that. I think as it pertains to rural communities, it is not the same at all as how it pertains to urban communities, because we don't have the populations. We don't have, like, in order to get as specific as we are, you basically are drilling down your demographic to too small of a population to be able to actually get the traction that you need, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, Kate.
Well, we basically, we have a hybrid approach to our print and our online, where we use our online to help support our print product, more of the marketing aspect. We do have, we have different websites for all our products, different social media for all our products. We do collect the analytics. We do watch our competitors, to see where we sit. So yeah, online is, like, we utilize it, but it's not intended to replace our print. Print is always going to be the number one for us. What is starting to work, we've offered what we call our Print Plus program, where if you buy an ad in our print products, we will promote it at some point during the month, or if it's a time sensitive ad, we will promote it on our social media as well. So people, they seem to like that. We don't charge extra for that, but you have to buy the print product first. So that's how we're kind of working with the online as well.
Wow. So bottom line, what I'm hearing from you, it's so important to have local people run the local paper. And what a great perspective to hear from Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, all through technology, through the airwaves. Thank you very much to the three of you for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting us.
That's Brandy Fredrickson. She is the owner-publisher of the Drayton Valley Free Press in Alberta. Lana Meir, the owner-publisher of several Manitoba newspapers. And Kate Winquist, she is the owner-publisher of newspapers in both Saskatchewan and Alberta.
Arts and crafts, very popular during the pandemic, and the fondness for the hobby is still going strong in Prince Edward Island, where each household spent an average of $66 per year. For more data like this and a better understanding of connecting with local markets, visit adcanadamedia.ca.
Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today on The Local Edge. Again, I'm your host, Shawna Randolph. For additional information and extended interviews, be sure to subscribe to the Local Edge podcast on any of the major platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google, and more, whatever works for you. Also, check out our website. It is adcanadamedia.ca. And don't hesitate to tell your friends, business colleagues, everybody, spread the word. Thank you again for joining us on The Local Edge. See you next time.
This series is proudly produced by the team at Road 55. Road 55 creates content that connects. For more information, check our website, www.road55.ca.